Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 107, selecting task management software that works for you.
Does this sound familiar?
Oh my God, I have so much to do today.
Don't forget to breathe.
But I have almost 400 emails in my inbox and 30 phone calls to make.
Have you looked into getting a virtual assistant yet?
Oh, and I need to schedule all my social media posts.
Did you drink anything today?
I had coffee.
Did you eat today?
Did I mention coffee's a bean?
This is Small Biz Life.
Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Small Biz Life.
Yes, there's nothing better than looking at task management software.
Well, we talked about tasks last week, so this week we wanted to talk about how to manage them all in a piece of software.
Yeah. And I always like to, before I talk about apps, talk a little bit about what are the kinds of things that, in general, you should probably be looking at. Yeah.
There you go. So before we start rambling on about software, maybe we should let you know who we are in case this is the first time you've ever tuned into the show, which if it is, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
I'm Kristen Ingram.
And I'm Jeffrey W. Ingram.
And we're a husband and wife team of small business owners who are here to help you cut the crap out of your business so that you can spend more time doing what you love.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's the beautiful thing is, you get to choose the more control you can get over your time, over your tasks. The more things you get to choose in your life, the more freedom you have. So many times I hear people complain about tasks and say, "Oh, that if I plan that kind of stuff out, then I'm like locking myself." No, you're not. Chris and I change around what we're doing all of the time based off of the stimulus at the moment, and that's the great thing that we can do. Just as long as we have a way to stay focused and moving forward, it doesn't matter necessarily when and how you get it done.
Yeah, and I have to say, for me, it's funny because I'm looking at Jeff, and behind him is our whiteboard that has some sticky note planning that we did about a month ago because I was freaking out because there's so much stuff I had to do, and I kind of gotten lax on using my task management software. And I have to say, I think we did like half an hour of planning at like 10 o'clock one night. I slept so much better because I just felt like, okay, yeah, I have a lot of stuff to do, but at least I know that I have it all written down. It's all in the software.
And not only that, though, is like you start to see when you have too much to do, your thought of what that means is usually like this larger thing than what it really is as well. You're looking at this big picture blob of stuff. And when you start seeing the components, you're like, well, there's lots of things, but I can do that. And you can start seeing how you can get it done. And when you have that reduction in stress that lets you sleep better, guess what you get done more of during your workday?
Work.
And you get more of it done than you would even on a day that you're just really trying to punch it out, but you're stressed out and you didn't sleep well the night before.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of the things I think is important to understand if you're new to the show. So I'm a CPA and Jeff is our IT super wizard. But so I own a CPA firm. Plus, we have Ingram Digital Media. Plus, I also work at a university. So I have a lot of different types of tasks I'm trying to manage and a lot of different, balls in the air at any given time. Yeah. So having something that is easy for me to use, that I can use anywhere, is critically important.
Yeah. Most definitely. And that's where apps do come in. I think sometimes we over-rely on the technology, and sometimes we end up doing more work just trying to manage our tasks than we do. And that's something I always like to caution people against. Test something out, give it a week if you think it's a good app. But make sure at the end that you getting more work done doesn't mean that the extra work you're getting done is just in task management software.
Yeah. And, I think one thing that we both do is we have, if you haven't downloaded yet, we have the Focus Planner, which you can still get if you go to smallbizlife.com/focus. Even though we use software, we don't use that software during the day.
No.
We kind of plan in the morning, we write down our tasks on the Focus Planner, and then we shut down that software for the day.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. And I will reopen mine at the end of the day because my brain, as I have one of those brains that is always going, and Kristen is probably as bad as me in that scenario, maybe worse. And so new ideas keep coming, but on the focus plan in the back, there's an area for you to like freeform. And so I will like write down new ideas, and unless something goes, you know what, if this does not happen today, your arms will fall off. I don't do it. Mm-hmm. I just write down just enough to know what it is, and then I can put it in at the end of my day. I'll put it into the software, because the problem is if I leave it open, I'll start seeing that big blob of tasks, and that in itself will distract me.
Yeah, I think that sometimes gets really overwhelming. So, okay. So let's kind of talk about some things that you should consider before you get software.
Yeah. And this is sort of the requirements portion. And I'm going to just kind of go over some generic requirements that I like to think about in general. You might have specific needs. Keep those in mind. And the biggest thing to start off with is lots of apps try and sell you on large feature list. Don't buy something because of a large feature list, unless you need all of those features and you've tested it out to make sure that the features actually work the way you expect and work for you. Don't just go, wow, this one has a really long list of stuff, so it must solve my problems. Because sometimes the ones that are really good that do lots of things are actually more complicated to use, and you might not be looking for that, especially if you're like a side hustler or a one-person shop.
Pull your mic back towards you more, because you've kind of gone back. Because look at your line.
That's you. Okay. All right. So the first thing I like to look for is, does it store tasks in the way that you will respond to them?
Yeah, no, I think that's really important, actually.
Mm-hmm. And notifications that work. And I'm purposely very vague here, because notifications that work for me are not necessarily notifications that work for you. Notifications that work for me is at the beginning of the day. I kind of want to know what I need to do. I don't want my phone telling me what I should be doing right now. My phone is not my boss. I don't want my computer telling me what I should do right now. I'm my boss. Mm-hmm. Or my wife is my boss. Depends how you look at it.
This is very true. I am the boss.
And so the thing is, find ways that work for you. And if you do work better, if you're prompted better by getting notifications on your phone, I would suggest trying to figure out a better way. But if that's the way you are, you got to go with what works for you.
Right, exactly. And that's why we're kind of, we're kind of vague about some of these things, because like if my phone is buzzing at me all day that I've got new things I need to get done, I'm not going to get anything done.
Because the problem is you get that notification, then you go, oh, look, I have 15 Facebook notifications. I'll just check those really quick. And then, oh, wait, there's someone sent me a power up for that game I love on Facebook. Let me just check that real quick. And, I'll just play one little level. And before you know it, you're down the rabbit hole of not getting any work done. And you're going to feel bad at the end of the day, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the next thing to look at is, how does this handle project tracking? Is this more of a project management app, or is it a task management app?
Yeah. And there are two different monsters. There are tasks and projects, but there's typically more things that you need to keep track of, especially once it becomes a larger thing. Now, if you do a lot of projects, that might be a requirement for you, but a lot of small business owners don't need project management most of the time. Most of the time, they're looking for task management strictly. So understand what's its strength, because it might even do both, and a lot of them will do both, but some are better than others at specific parts of it.
Yep. Do you need email integration? So for some people, this is really important, especially like during tax season when I have missing information that I need from clients and clients send me that information. Having email integration is kind of a nice thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are definitely times and places that works for people, and other times your idea of email integration might be just that it emails you deadlines.
Yep.
Or it could be like something full fledged where like in the same app you have your email box, and then you can actually push emails into tasks easy and actually get rid of your inbox and your task in one spot. So that's another idea. Calendar integration, same kind of thing. how much do you use a digital calendar? We do use these more than we use task management software. Calendars are essential for us, especially with all of the different things that we have going on. So, but the question is, do you need it integrated with your task software?
Right. And well, and here's the reason I like having it integrated with my calendar. Because I've, 2 businesses plus the university, all of my days look different. And so I like to be able to say, okay, when I'm booking my tasks, to be able to say, wow, this is a really busy day. I'm really not going to get anything done. Oh, but the next day super open. Let me put a whole bunch of tasks in that day.
And I think the great thing is especially if your calendar, it's not even so much that she has so much going on. It's that day to day, it can look radically different from week to week, even during the same semester. And then the next semester, it could change radically again.
Right.
So if you have a really fluid schedule, we'll call it, like Kristen does, calendar integration probably is more of a priority. If you have more control over the type and time of your work, and the kinds of stuff that go on, it might not be so essential. That's why when it comes to a lot of these apps, people always try and tell you this is the best app. And it's usually probably because they have a good affiliate program with someone. And I'm not such a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of free trials when it comes to a lot of these kind of apps, because even if it's a really good app and it worked really well for someone who you want to be like, it might not work with you.
Right.
It has to be easy for you to use. Staffing and collaboration. Do you have a team that works for you? Or possibly you're doing a lot of work with vendors where there is some kind of coordination needed to get a project done. You might need a little bit more robust staff collaboration features, or you might not need it at all.
Right. And that's the thing too. It's like, you've got to look at, Jeff has another podcast with a different co-host. And so they're managing, what their shows are going to look like, what they need to get done for those shows. We're managing what we're doing for our show. All of the stuff that goes on in Ingram Digital Media. And so, but there's a lot of stuff that we have to collaborate on. If you have a VA, if you have an admin, you may need to be sharing things with them. And so you've got to figure how well does staff collaboration work.
Or in theory too, you might even use it to try and, manage a team. You might try and say, hey, I want to schedule out the time and make sure my people have the work that they need, and it's all in this calendar. And if I can get my tasks for certain people in my calendar, it can make your life a lot easier. If you don't have a team, don't work with other people especially, it's not so much a feature. And how much of it you need is very dependent upon the specifics of your business.
Right.
Cost.
So I think this is really important because there are a lot of free options out there.
Yes.
And so, don't be afraid to look at options that are free. Especially if you don't need a lot of features. We would encourage you to not buy features that you don't need right now. Look to see what's out there. And we're going to go through a whole bunch of different options. But just because it's the most expensive doesn't mean it's the best. And just because it's free doesn't mean it's terrible.
Exactly. It's all about using it, and do you get what you need from it? And you might even have a couple different ones that you use in slightly different ways, and that's fine too. As we go through, there's some really good ones, and some are a little bit better in different areas, so we'll kind of talk about all of them. Let's see. Integrations. If you need them to integrate with other types of things like file drives like Google Drive or other types of Dropbox.
Yeah, your email or your calendar.
There's a surprising number of things that these things can integrate with. If you need those kind of features, once again, you have to look to find out if they either directly can do them or if you can use something like Zapier or if this then that to get those types of integrations.
Right. And I think, devices is really important because, for somebody like me that I am usually, I could work from 4 different devices in a day. I need to be able to see my list no matter which device I'm on.
Yeah. And it might not necessarily even mean that there's a phone app if you're on a phone, but the website needs to work good on the phone if they don't have a phone app. If they have a phone app, is it even as good as using it on the website or vice versa? I've seen these things go both ways where the phone app is great and you log onto the website and it's like lousy, or it's a little bit more common the other way around that typically the phone app lacks some of the features that the web app does.
Yeah.
That's not always true, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then kind of think about, are there any other features that, that you wish it had? And I think the more you play with these, look for something that has a free trial or has a free plan and play with it for a little while and say, okay, am I still using this at the end of the trial?
Yeah.
Because the thing I find is like, if they're not doing what I need them to do, I stop using them.
Yeah, most definitely. Or if they become a burden,
I'll stop using them.
I'll stop using them. So be sure, and find out where's your tolerance. Because to be honest, my daily task work happens on a piece of paper. And I kind of mentioned that before. I don't use an app to do my to-do list for the day. It's too distracting for me. So I do use task management stuff, just not in that way, which is why I developed the focus planner.
Well, and that's the thing, the thing that I find, especially if I'm in multiple locations in a day. So I tend not to use the focus planner if I'm working here and at school and at a client. But I will open up my device and say, okay, what do I have blocked off while I'm at this location? And then get right. But the thing is, it's funny. I'll write those things down on a piece of paper and then I'll close the app.
So you use a moment at the location and then you go away from it. Okay. So you have like the little mini, we call piece of paper planner.
Yeah. And it might be like on a sticky note or something, just so that I don't have to reopen that app again. Okay. So let's start actually talking about some apps.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think you're going to kind of be surprised by what I'm using right now. So I have tried many of the things on this list. And honestly, the last time I when we did this planning on the whiteboard with the sticky notes and whatever, I actually started using Google Tasks. The reason that I like Google Tasks, and this is something that's integrated into Google Calendar, because I'm in my Google Calendar all day long, because people are calling me to book things. I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be. And I love the fact that they hang out on the top of my Google Calendar. It's an incredibly simple system. If you need bullet points, if you need lots of complexity, this is not the system for you. If you just need reminders, like what am I supposed to work on today? It's a great system to use. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, try and keep it as simple as possible, because the thing is, unless there's big controls and you're in a big corporate environment, where you have to track a lot more stuff than you should when you're doing task management, don't start doing additional steps until you need them, because it takes work to do task management. And that's the thing that's the lie that you're not told, is it takes work. So, I was originally taught the waterfall method of project management, and it's very involved, something I never want to have to do again. But, the thing is, there's a lot of things that I have to track and be able to respond and talk to people about that I just don't need. And I do look at some of those things, but I do it in a more ad hoc fashion because it's for me and my knowledge. It's not because I have to have a report done for another committee.
Yeah.
You're not reporting to another committee. You're a small business owner. Look up stuff that you need to when you need to, but do work that moves your business forward.
Right. Now, some things that this is not good for. This is not good if you need to collaborate with another person. Okay. So if you need to be sharing tasks and stuff like that, it's not good for that. If you like to color code tasks, which is actually something I really like to do, I can't do that. All my tasks are the same color.
Blocks of time in the calendar when you use the task, it's just
they're all the same color. It's kind of like it's almost like when you are sharing your Google Calendar with somebody, their tasks come in as a different, or their items come in as a different color than yours. Yeah. So you can't color code things. There are plugins that you can play with in the lab in order to, turn on new features.
Or also, you could probably get from their Chrome store as well too.
Yeah. So there's other features that you can add, but it's very simple. It's very basic.
You're just using the vanilla version.
Yep.
You've not modified yours.
Nope.
So, yep. So, I think I've seen her use it for her flow of work. It makes perfect sense. And once again, it's not something I typically judge people on unless they're telling me that I can't get any work done, and this is what I do to track my tasks. This is the only time I would question their task management system.
But it helped me plow through a lot of stuff very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It works for you. So that's the only result that you need. If you go back to the last episode, that's the result.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Now, here are some top players. I've used most of these. I have added one in because it gets compared a lot with the first one. And the first one I like to talk about is Trello. Trello is the main software I use for task management. And what I essentially do is I create a Kaizen board. And then what I'll do is if it's something repeatable, like say when we create HQ content or podcast episodes, it's largely the same task every time. I'll just copy one and make a new one. I don't have to, because I'll have a few things built into it already. So I'll just keep creating a new task that way. It's very, very simple to set up tasks. It's literally you just type in and add a card. Mm-hmm. If you want to use some of the features, you have to go into it. It's a little bit more involved. Like if I want to assign it to me and Kristen, it's very easy to do. I can give it a due date. There's all kinds of things I can do pretty quickly. I can add checklist within tasks. If it's really very simple kind of parts of it, if it's more complicated, I'll typically create a new card.
But basically, so kind of as an overview, the way it works, you create a board. Mm-hmm. And the way that we're using it is we have boards for different projects within the business. So, like I have one for everything I do for school. That's a board. Mm-hmm. We have a board now here's the other cool thing with this. You can also use this to track stuff. Mm-hmm. So like we have a board for all of our affiliates. Mm-hmm. And so all of our affiliate information is in one place, which is really cool. We use this to track like ideas that we have. Mm-hmm. There's a board for that. So, so you're kind of creating like, almost like these little file cabinets. Mm-hmm. And inside these file cabinets, you're putting cards in there.
You're putting essentially a Post-it note system. Which, if anyone knows Jeffrey, they'll understand that Jeffrey loves doing stuff in that form.
And I think that's why when you saw that one, you really liked it.
And the thing I liked about it too was where I have the Kaizen set up, with my to-do and my on hold and my in progress and my completed. It's literally just dragging and dropping from one of the 4 categories I have. And you don't need to set up your categories that way. That's the way I choose to. You can actually set up in different categories if you want to, or use different names. But you create these categories, which are these big columns, and you can just drag your task from place to place. Columns could be the names of team members. Columns could be anything that you want them to do. I like Kaizen sort of strategically attacking things. I like to know where I'm at in the process so I can quickly look and go, okay, I'm 75% done. Mm-hmm. Or 75% in progress, but only 10% done. I can kind of eyeball that stuff very, very quickly. And I don't need the exact number because it's me and Kristen, and we just kind of look at it and go, yeah, we better pick this up. Or, we know what the due dates are because you can attach them if there's a due date attached to it. Once you get the due date, I do suggest attaching it if it's something that's hard, like when new episodes come out for the podcast. Those are hard deadlines. When months come out for HQ, that's a hard deadline. So they have dates attached to them. Other things, especially like the far future ideas or the list, we don't add that in. You don't need to.
Right. The great thing is this Trello integrates with pretty much everything. And if it doesn't have a direct integration, it does integrate with Zapier. Yeah. So if you need to integrate with your email, with your calendar, whatever integrations you're looking to put together, this will do it.
Yeah. And the thing is, I actually don't use the integrations. My task management is as simple as possible. Like I said, the problem is if I start I'll start spending too much time task managing if I make it more complicated. So I don't use a lot of the integrations. Like for me, I like Google Inbox to deal with my email, and I can do stuff in there. And so I don't like to integrate my things. My calendar's separate from my tasks. That's just, I work better that way.
But one nice thing is one integration that you may want to consider is integrating with your Google Drive.
Yep.
Especially if you store a lot of stuff in there. If it's important,
if you're collaborating on documents, you'd almost definitely want to do that. It would just be an easier way to, you can share out your stuff in Google Drive, and that's kind of a pain. So you can actually use Google Drive to put it into Trello, which is a really nice way to do that, I think. think.
And the nice thing, there is actually a free plan, which is what we're currently using. It's done everything we've needed to do. I think the more integrations you want to add, you're probably going to end up with a paid plan.
Yeah, because we have tons of. I think there might be a limit to the number of boards. I don't know.
We haven't hit it,
lots
though.
of boards, so I don't know.
It works on all major devices. I know there's an app for Android. There's an app for iPhone. I think a couple drawbacks for me for Trello. It is not easy to see a task list by due date. Because everything is set up within these boards. I know that there's a way you can do it, but it's not easy.
So you say across boards.
Right. So to be able to say like, okay, what are the items all across my boards that are due today?
Yeah.
That's kind of difficult to do. I think the other thing is that it's very easy to like go down the rabbit hole and be stuck in Trello for hours if you don't set a timer and get yourself out.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I haven't spent too long in Trello yet, so that's not been an issue for me. But once again, these things are very personalized choices. So like I said, it's about using them, and sometimes you're going to find even like it seems like the right fit, and 6 months later you're like, yeah. It's one of those things. Keep track of when the next payment's due, because you might even after several months just go, this doesn't work for me. I'm not really using this, or unless it's free, you just stop using it. Now, the next one is one I've not used.
But this one, a lot of people use this one.
A lot of people use this one, and which is why it's being brought up. It's compared a lot to Trello. It's supposed to be very similar in the ease of being able to build stuff in there. The thing I found out from my research is, so Asana is the actual product. And so the thing I've seen is if you have more project management demands in your business, this might be the version for you, unless you're strictly a sort of keys and board kind of project manager. If you need a little bit more features built in, and a lot of stuff you can kind of get to in Trello as well too, which is one of those things where it still might or might not be better. So but if I had project management, structural project management needs, and I knew of them, I would probably start here first. And if it didn't quite work, I might try a Trello out, or there are hundreds of apps. So.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this one has pretty much all the same features that Trello has. It's a lot more structured in its project management. So if you're looking more for a project management tool, I know a lot of VAs that use this because they have a very structured way they work with their clients. A lot of people who do like web design use this because, again, you've got structure to your projects. It's very easy to copy those projects, for a new client. It's got a free plan. There's discounts for annual plans. It integrates with everything you'll need it to integrate with. It works on all major devices. So again,
actually, I believe it even works on Linux. They really, yeah.
But so the difference between this one and Trello is going to be the structure that you need, and whether you're doing more task-based project management, or whether you're like really doing a structured project management, structure in your business, right? But the nice thing is like you can try them both out for free.
Most definitely. Try them and please do. And if you use it like for a day, like this is awesome, I just want to buy. Don't use your free trial period, because trust me, sometimes you get this glow because it's so close and it's better than what you were doing. But after a couple of days, you're kind of
Yep. Okay, so now if you don't really want to manage projects and you're really managing tasks, check out Nosby. We liked using it. We had a couple issues that made it not work for us, but especially for a solopreneur. They have a great app on the phone. The problem was getting to sort of decent, the way I kind of like to structure things was very difficult for me to do in Nosby. So here's the thing with Nosby. Nosby, yes, you can create projects, but it's really a task list. Now, one of the strengths of Nosby
is it's a task list.
Right, is that it is an unbelievable task list, and it is very good. You can look at your task by project, you can look at your task by due date, you can one of the things I love about it is it allows you to set your next actions. You put a little star next to the things, and then you can go to the next actions box, and that's all you see are the things with stars.
Yes. No, it was built on the idea of getting things done, and if that's strictly what you're looking for, I do know there was an inbox for Gmail, at least when we used it. I didn't like it. I could see a benefit for it, a use case, but I mean, the Gmail interface, or I use the inbox interface, are just so incredible at this point. When I use any other one, I get frustrated. They had a really kind of cool thing you could do with the calendars where you could easily integrate your calendar into it.
Yeah. So if you like the idea of having your tasks on the top of your calendar, you can actually do that with Nozbe. You can integrate that with your Google Calendar. The one thing that I didn't like is that when I'm using Google Calendar and Google Tasks, I can actually see the placement as I'm setting the due dates, where I'd have to have my Google Calendar open in another window in order to be able to see that.
Yeah.
But the great thing with their tasks is that you can add checklists, you can add extensive notes, you can add bullet points.
That's fairly common with all of them now. You can really sort of add in more. I thought it was a bit easier in Nozbe to get to that. Like it was a little bit more odd doing the more detailed tasks and maybe because I was just used to Nozbe, but Nozbe is a great option. And like I said, if you're a solopreneur and you're looking to get things done, this is a great app. If you really want to add in project management, maybe it's improved since I've used it, but I would check this one last.
Yeah, I mean that's really the thing is that
even I remember trying to make like a sub section in a project it was a nightmare. And once you got it, you could copy stuff, but the things like that frustrated me out of it. So just for the way I did things, it didn't quite work for me, but it could definitely work for you.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the way we kind of said that Trello was kind of like having like a filing cabinet, right? And you've got your cards in the filing cabinet. Nozbe is more like a binder where you might have like tabs that divide out your projects, but you can't really visualize them the way you want. It was visually, it didn't work as a project manager for me, but it was a wonderful task manager. And so, again, going back, you've got to know what your requirements are. And I think that once you have that down, if you're really task-based, check out Nozbe. Yeah. If you're looking for more project management, how much structure do you want in that project management? And then check out Trello or Asana.
Yeah. And especially Trello for me is if you're a brainstorm to project kind of person, you need at least a free version of Trello, even if it's just for brainstorming. It's just, especially if you're brainstorming with someone else, you can literally both be on the same thing, moving stuff around and talking about it while it happens. It's visual, like using Post-it notes.
Yeah.
For at least brainstorming, it might be something to look for at least the free version for. And I just like the way it works for me because, I track which projects I'm working on. So I just kind of go into a couple places. I still don't see everything, but definitely, if you are afraid of losing stuff, that next actions feature with Nozbe was like one of the freaking best things ever.
Oh, yeah. No, I absolutely love it. I wish that Trello had something like that.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
No, I will tell you one more downside with Nozbe. If you are collaborating with somebody else.
Because it was like you could assign to a person kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So with Trello, the way it works is that you can assign it to a group. You can assign it to a person. You can assign it to multiple people. Most of what we do, we actually do it group based because Jeff and I are a group. Jeff and Michael, his other co-host, they're a group. It's just kind of easy to say we are the group and you assign to the group.
And the thing is, occasionally it's like certain tasks like recording. We both have to do those. So you can assign both of them, but the other things we don't necessarily assign because it's like if Kristen has time and she's working on the podcast, she can go, okay, where are we at? Okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. She doesn't need to ask me. She might want to go, hey, are you working on this now? And I could say no. But besides that, any one of us could step in, easily start taking and getting things completed, which is what the things I like about it. But once again, it's very personalized. People understand that if you're more novice If you really haven't spent a lot of time trying to figure out and trying to get better at task management, you're not going to go become a superstar overnight. No matter how long you do it, it's something you can always improve at. So just the thing is increment, do one thing better today. Start today doing one thing better with your task management. And when you get that down, put in something else. And it's just over time, you'll see the benefits. If you try and make 100 changes all at once, you're going to drive yourself insane and you're going to go back to what you were doing.
Right. Now, I think the one thing that, since we've just talked about software, so we haven't talked about notebooks, we haven't talked, I would highly recommend, if you are a busy individual, you must have a digital place to dump your tasks, because I see way too many people where things fall through the cracks because, they have this notebook, or they're putting all their tasks on sticky notes, and the sticky notes, after a while they fall down, they blow away, a cat bumps them, a dog eats it. You want to make sure that you have somewhere digital where you are putting all of your tasks, because inevitably on paper, things are going to fall through the cracks.
There are great ways. At least take a picture of the piece of paper, store it in your phone at a minimum.
Yeah, because that's the thing, and I know people they kind of rewrite their task list every day, because what they'll do is, say they put 10 things on their list yesterday and they got through 5 of them. So then they'll take the 5 that they didn't get done, they'll write them on today's list, and then they'll put more stuff on today's list.
Okay.
What happens if you forget to rewrite one of those things? Then that thing gets lost. Whereas if you have an electronic version, things that don't get done just carry over on the list, And so if you've never used something electronic, maybe start with, Google Tasks, or start with the free version of Nosby. And just, it is so freeing that if you're wherever you are, right? This is the other reason electronic is good. It doesn't matter where you are. You could get into the car after picking up your kids and go, oh crap, I got to get this done. Yeah. You can put it in the system real quick and then it's there. Where if you're like, oh crap, my task notebook's at home. Oh, I'll just remember that. Right? Okay, so what's going to happen is you're either going to forget or you're going to drive yourself crazy, because the whole time you're driving home, your brain's going to go, don't forget that thing, don't forget that thing, don't forget that thing.
Here's Jeffrey's hack for that, because Jeffrey's a notebook guy. When you forget your notebook, you email yourself.
Yep, that works too. Just make sure you check your email.
I've texted Kristen and say, ignore this.
Yeah, we do that a lot. But just find something that works for you, because that's ultimately, we said at the top of the show, our job is to help you cut the crap out of your business, and trying to keep all of this stuff managed in your brain. Okay. Now I have a really good memory for stuff, but like I said, if I get too many tasks caught up in my brain, I start to kind of lose it a little bit.
I keep forgetting that you're good with memory.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
So, even for me, I have to get that stuff out of my brain, because if I don't, my brain just focuses on all the things I need to get done.
Yeah. And remember the drawback is it's, like she said, it's about balance. Because the thing is, doing it electronically, the reason that people prefer paper is it's easier to do. It takes less time, it's quicker, and that's great. You need to find the balance that works for you, because the thing is, if you go too much online and you're too reliant, what happens if the internet's down?
Yep.
What happens if, you will spend more time creating and managing your tasks if it's digital? You are going to. But you're less likely to lose stuff.
Yep.
So the thing is, you need to find a balance that works for you, and that will only happen over time. So just start implementing things one at a time and seeing what works for you, and disregard it even if someone who's really smart that you respect swears to it. Because it's about finding the system that works best for you. You want to work for your task management. You don't want to work for your task management system.
You want it to work for you.
Yeah.
Yep. No, absolutely. So, we hope this helps. If you got questions, feel free to, you can leave them in the show notes on smallbizlife.com. You can leave them in the community, which if you're not a member of the Small Biz Life community, you can go to facebook.com/group/smallbizlife. join the community, and let us know, like, what are you using or what struggles do you have with task management? And we'll see what we can do to help.
Woohoo!
So thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
This was Small Biz Life.